Hey everyone, welcome to my Tuesday at 2 Facebook Live. Double checking to make sure that I am going live. I know that there is a delay, but I want to kind of keep an eye on things because last week when I went live, I had some technical difficulties and you guys knew about it before I knew about it. I froze last week for some reason. It wasn't frozen on my end, and I just kept talking and just kept talking, and then finally the system that I'm using kicked me out, said I was done. So anyway, I'm hoping. Hi Sandra, good to see you. Thank you for saying hello. So fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed this time everything's gonna be well today. So a number of things that I want to do. First of all, introduce myself. I am April Davis with April Davis Creations, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spring Hill, Kansas. Today is Tuesday, July 8th, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you for joining me. How was your 4th of July? I can't even believe it's July 8th already. That was 4 days ago. The time is just flying by. We had a great weekend. It was quiet on the 4th, but then we celebrated on the 5th at my daughter's. But my neighborhood is really into fireworks. They have competitions between the North and the South. And because fireworks are allowed in Spring Hill, they started early. So a few days before the 4th of July, we were hearing fireworks. And then, of course, on the 4th of July, lots and lots of fireworks. They went clear through until sometime after midnight. I went to bed. And when I went to bed, they were still having fun. So it was a crazy weekend here with the fireworks. And mostly because my dog doesn't really like fireworks. And so if you've got a dog that doesn't like fireworks as well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But fortunately, everything has died down and everything's quiet now. So we're back to normal. But I still can't believe it's July 8th already. All right, let's talk about some of the things that we've got going on because I want to get to these fun cards that we've got. So I am going to, let me see if I can do this. I am going to bring myself up and we're going to look at my desktop. And the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that we've got a special starting tomorrow, 20% off our two-toned cardstock. So our two-tone cardstock is new to Stampin' Up! This year. It was part of some of the scrapbooking packages that we had last year, but Stampin' Up! This year came out with all of our colors in two-tone cardstock, and they're 12 by 12s. So I brought a few just to kind of show you what we're talking about. So this is Pool Party, and you can see the difference in the two colors, the light and the dark, two-tone. We've got Pumpkin Pie. If I turn this over, you can see the difference in the light and the dark. And then I also have Old Olive, and you can see the difference in that as well. So two-tone cardstock is a lot of fun. You can utilize it for scrapbooking, but it's also great for your card making as well, especially when you want to have a two-tone. A lot of times I'll stamp tone on tone, and you know, when we stamp in generations, the first generation is the darkest, the second generation is the lightest, so on and so forth. Well, you can do that with your two-tone cardstock as well. So this starts tomorrow, goes through the 11th, 20% off your two-tone cardstock. Okay, also I want to remind you that the July Crafting Happiness Club is enrolling right now, and I have those cards here for you to see. Enrollment ends on July 20th, so we've still got a little bit of time, but hopefully you'll get a chance to take advantage of it. But I am featuring the Inspiring Imperfections stamp set, and when you join the club, it's a monthly club. It comes automatically to your front door, but you'll receive a half a package of designer series paper. You'll receive a full package of the flower accents and a full bolt of white ribbon. This is for this particular month. Every month is different. But look at these gorgeous cards for Inspiring Imperfections. I just love this set. So pretty and so elegant. I had a lot of fun with it. All right, so remember, registrations end July 20th. All that information you can find on my website, and I will just pop my website up here for you guys so that you can see it, aprildaviscreations.com. Also, quick reminder that enrollment for the monthly paper pumpkin kit ends July 10th. So that's in 2 days. It ends. And just as a reminder, when you subscribe through me, you will be on the list to receive a free alternatives tutorial. I've partnered with 3 other really crafty, creative women, and we put together an alternatives tutorial for our paper pumpkins, so you get the and then some. You can create what's in the box, and if you want to go outside the box, you can create, and that tutorial has 12 different cards that you can create with your paper pumpkin. And you receive that absolutely free just by subscribing through me. So there's that. Also, I wanted to mention and say thank you to those of you who comment on my Facebook Live, you comment on my YouTube videos, you like, you share. I appreciate it so much. And every week I have a drawing for free prizes. And so last week I had one of the prizes claimed, but I'm still holding a prize for Gloria Meek. I think it's Meek, M-I-I-C-K 6774. So Gloria, you need to make sure that you reach out to me, because this is the last week that I'm going to hold this gift. And then what I'll do is I'll put it back in the drawing for others to win. But I do have 2 new ones for this week that posted comments, liked, shared last week. So I have the Starburst sequins, and then I also have a bolt of the Fresh Freesia ribbon that goes very well with the sequins. And this is for Marilyn Brown Pearson. And then I also have the same thing for Mary Augustin. So if you guys would reach out to me and send me an email to aprildaviscreations@gmail.com, send me your contact information and I will get these in the mail to you. I appreciate you guys so much. And again, as you guys comment, you like, you share the videos, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook, it helps to build my channel, and I'm so appreciative of that. All right, one more thing. I wanted to share some Happy Mail that I got this week. I love getting Happy Mail. I love it when you guys share your creations. And I received a card from Michelle Troe this week. And remember last week we were working with ephemera. Well, Michelle's card is ephemera. The thank you, just wanted to say. But Michelle, thank you so much for thinking of me and sending me a card. I really appreciate it. And I am a fan of ephemera for sure. All right, let's talk about what we're going to do today. We are going to be focused on the Sunshine Vibes bundle. And I'm going to take down some of these. There we go. Focused on Sunshine Vibes. Excuse me. This is a bundle. We have our stamps and we have our dies. And the dies kind of follow a rainbow theme, if you will. So I'm going to kind of share with you with this first card. I'll show you the cards, but I'm going to share with you with this first card some of my tips and tricks that I utilize with my tools and my how I store my cardstock. So let's look at the cards first and you'll see what I mean. So this is card number 1, and you can see that card number 1 is pretty involved. Little bit of stamping. The rest of it's all die cutting and embossing. And then we've got our second card. We're utilizing the Designer Series paper, which I have to bring the Designer Series paper out while I'm thinking about it. We are working with Boho Vibes, and this Designer Series paper is really a lot of fun. I'm just going to kind of scan through it very quickly for you. Lots of fun colors, not too bright, but just a lot of selection, if you will. And so I tried to incorporate a lot of it into the cards that we've got. But this is a 6x6 pack. All right, so we've got this one that we're going to be creating with the Designer Series paper. And then I've got another one that we've created with the Designer Series paper as well, with just a little bit of stamping, okay? So let's go to this first one because I want to chat with you about it for just a second. First off, let me show you what's in the kit. You've got a basic white card base. I've already got that folded over, but we've got a basic white card base. We're using Secret C as our layer, and this was embossed with the damask embossing folder. I didn't bring it over from my station earlier, but it's the damask embossing folder, if you can see that. And then I've got a layer of basic white that we're going to utilize, and then I've got all these little pieces that I went ahead and die cut so that you guys wouldn't have to spend a lot of time watching me do that. But with these little pieces, it means that I'm utilizing quite a bit of paper. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you what I do with my scraps or my paper, if you will. So I keep my 8.5 by 11 cardstock in these Avery work folders. It keeps it all together, but you can see that I'm also keeping all my scraps here because I've been a scrapper, I've been a card maker for years and years and years and years. And I used to throw my scraps into a box. And then I got smart and I thought, okay, it would be easier if I just color coded the scraps that are in the box. But I still wasn't utilizing the scraps because when I was creating, I didn't want to go back through the box and sort through everything, even though it was color coordinated. And I don't mean color coordinated, like all the same colors were kept together. I'm talking about color families. So all the oranges were kept together. And you know how many versions of orange there are. Anyway, now what I do when I craft is I keep all my scraps together in the folder. And if I get too many of these little ones, then I'll just use some of the packages that perhaps my embossing folder comes in or whatever. But the nice part about this is when I get ready to create and I need a little piece of my Cajun craze, I can go here and I can pull it from my scraps. I'm not gonna mess with a large sheet. I'm gonna pull it from my scraps. So that's what I do. And I actually do that with my designer series paper as well. You can see I'm working with the boho vibes today, but I have scraps and I keep them all together. That way when I'm creating, I look at the scraps first. And if I can use the scrap, I do that. And I do that not only with my 6x6, but I also do it with my 12 by 12 designer series paper. So I have my large sheets in the back, I have all my short sheets in the front, and I find that when I do this, keeping everything together, I use my scraps more and more and more. And I love that because I wasn't doing that at one point in time. Additionally, I'm going to share with you one other thing. I have a little basket that I keep mostly all my white scraps in. Every once in a while, because it's a circle or something I was working on, I'll throw it in there. But mostly it's my white scraps. I go through a ton of white scraps. And if they're not big enough to go back into the folder for me to utilize to die cut something bigger, most of it's for sentiments. I can go through here and I pull it out. And when I'm creating kits, you guys are getting my scraps. I mean, I'm gonna cut them up anyway if I didn't use the scraps. So this basket is full. Sometimes it's fuller, sometimes I've gone through everything. So, but I continue to use these scraps and they're right on my table so that I can utilize them anytime I need them and they get used. All right, so let's go back in and let's look at this card. I'm gonna pull these pieces out of the way, and the first thing I want to do is I just want to stamp my sentiment. So we are working with a photopolymer stamp, so I'm just going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat so I've got a nice cushy background for my stamping, and we are going to utilize Secret C, which is one of the new ink colors. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp hello. And I want to get this centered as best I can. So a couple of things we can do. I'm looking to see if I've got my little pencil here so that I can show you. I don't, so I'm going to kind of cheat just a little bit. But what I have, one of the tools that I utilize is a centering ruler. This is an Omnigrip centering ruler, but it has a 0 in the middle. And so what I do is I line this up so that the 0 is in the middle and it's equal on each side. And it tells me that it's centered. So I can go ahead and bring this down. I'm gonna have 2 on each side. This is centered. I don't see my pencil here. Normally I would use a pencil, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do just a little mark there. My stamp is gonna cover it up, but that's the center. So when I get ready to stamp with this, I'm gonna look to see, and hello, my L is in the center, so that's gonna get me really close to where I want to be. So let's go ahead and ink this up, and I'm gonna get close to my center, and I want it to be straight, so if my head gets in the way, my apologies. I'm gonna go straight down and straight up because I have ink on my block, and I don't want to get the ink that's on my block on my card. But we've got hello stamp. All right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to lay all of these different pieces that I cut out. And these pieces were actually cut out from all of these various dies that we have here. Okay. So I'm going to start with the largest one. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back my centering ruler. I know where my center is because I can see my little mark. And I want to get my rainbow centered, the start to my rainbow centered. So I'm going to count in 3 here. I'm going to count in 3 there. Certainly you guys can just eye it. Eyeing it is fine, but I just really wanted to be able to make sure that I had it centered where I needed it to be centered. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up because it's going to help me to get it lined up appropriately. A couple of things. I am choosing to use my Tombow glue, my mono liquid glue. That said, this probably would have been easier had I used the, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's our adhesive sheets where I put the adhesive sheet behind my cardstock and then I cut it out and my cardstock then becomes a sticker and I can just peel the adhesive off and I can place it down. That probably would have been the easier thing to do. But you also know that I like to have some flexibility, and when I use adhesives like that, once it's down, it's down. So I'm just putting little dots along the side here. It doesn't take a lot of glue to glue these down, but I'm just putting little dots along the side here. And then what I'll do once I'm through is lay this down. I've got my centering ruler here. I've got it down where I want it so that I'm going over 3. Let me see, looking there. I'm gonna over 3. I think I'm gonna come down just a little bit further since my hello is up a little bit higher than it had been previously. I'm gonna come down just a little bit and I'm looking to make sure that I'm getting this centered where I want it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we've got it. And now this should be where I want it to be. Okay, so we'll go with this. And now what I'm gonna do is, I don't need this as much now because I've got my main one centered. However, I may use it to align these so I'm not going too high or too low. Again, you don't have to do this. This is just something that I choose to do. I've got the tool, and you can use, not only do I use my centering ruler, but I also have a T-square. And so I can line it up this way as well. But I'm just gonna go ahead and use my centering ruler for now. And again, a little tedious. I'm putting my little glue dots behind my leaves. Just little bitty dots. You can see I'm not using much glue at all. You don't want to use a lot of glue. But now what I can do is I can bring this in and I'm just gonna kind of line it up right about here. And we'll get this side down. And then we'll do the same thing for the other side. It's a fun card. It's a cute card, just a little tedious. But that's why I went ahead and did all the die cutting ahead of time so you guys didn't have to watch me do the die cutting. But I like the looks of this card once we're finished. I do love pieced cards, and the die cutting allows us to do that. So let's go ahead and get this one down. And we'll go here. Okay, now we're gonna move into our yellow rainbow shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue here, not a lot. And we're just gonna continue to go. And I'm just leaving this down so that I have a place to mark for where I want my ends to meet. So they're gonna be fairly even. Maybe not exactly, but they're gonna be fairly even. Okay, we'll get this Cajun Craze one, and we're gonna do the same thing. Oop. If I get too thick on my glue, then potentially it will squirt out. Not ideal, but we can fix it if it causes a problem. That's why we have adhesive erasers. So let me turn this around. And I think for this one, since it's so little, I'm going to use my tweezers and grab it this way. Okay, so we'll get that centered as best we can, off just a tad bit, but still good. And then this little one, look at all the holes on this one. I'm gonna have to be really careful as I'm doing this. Again, that's why the adhesive sheets might have been a good idea, but I'm just missing the holes. And again, just a little bit of glue will do ya. We'll take this one. This one's gonna go on top of the hello. Whoops, I guess I should have taken that one up a little bit more. I'm gonna bring this down just a tad. Didn't get my spacing quite the way that I wanted it, but we're good. We're good. And then I'm gonna take my heart, which is a little bitty heart, and I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on it. And we're gonna send it right, whoop, we're gonna put it right here in the middle. All right. So probably what I should have done, and let me see if I can, I don't know if I can move this up a little bit or not. We'll see if it will let me move it up. It really doesn't matter. We got it. All right, so now we have our hello, and now we can finish building the rest of the cards. So I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. I'm gonna take my embossed piece with the damask embossing folder, and we're gonna put that layer down. But you know what I was gonna do, guys? Okay, I'm jumping the gun again already. I should just stop, Okay, I am gonna bring out my silicone mat because I wanted to add some thread, some linen thread. So we're still gonna do it. But my silicone mat is going to protect me from the glue. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this down, and then we're gonna wrap it around twice. You can see I've got glue all over the bottom. There, we're gonna take my ribbon snips, and we're going to put this back down so that I keep my hands out of it. And we'll go ahead and get this tied, and then we'll get it adhered. Ideally, you want to do this before you put the glue on the back, but if you jump the gun and then you remember that that's what you wanted to do, this is how you're going to do it. And then I don't have to worry about my glue getting anywhere. I don't have to worry about it on my glass mat. I don't have to worry about it sticking to any paper. I'm just going to go ahead and get this down. Okay. And then what I think I'll do is, let's see how much glue I have on the back and see how easy that comes up. I'll move that out of the way. We'll put a little bit more glue along here, and then I can trim off my ends. So we'll get that centered. I want to make sure I've got it on the right side so that I'm not putting it, opening the wrong way. And if you've never done that before, you learn very quickly to double check where your opening is. All right, so I'm gonna scooch this just a little bit. You've got this down. I'm going to tie my bow a little bit tighter. it wasn't quite so tight. So let me give you a little secret about how you can make your bow a little bit tighter. So I'm going to bring out a glue dot, and I'm going to use my take your pick, and I'm just going to take a glue dot, and I'm going to put it right about where I want my bow to go. So we'll get that placed down. If I can get it off my take your pick and off my fingers. Stick. Okay, it's down. Now what I can do is I can take this and I can tighten it how I want it, press down, and now it's going to stay in place. And now that it's going to stay in place, I can go ahead and tie my bow and it will be nice and taut. So I've got that. There we go. But I was really looking for this to be taut and I just didn't have it quite the way I wanted it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this off right about here. And we're going to bring in some dimensionals. And I'm going to put the dimensionals on the back of my white layer. Put one in the middle. Okay. Move this out of the way. Go ahead and get the backs off. Did I get that? Did not come off. Check and make sure they're all sticky. They are all sticky, so we'll move these out of the way. And I do want to make sure that I get this centered appropriately. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue on the back here. And we'll get this mounted. And then I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna do this just a little bit differently than I did the last card. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I get this centered appropriately. So I lift it up so that I can look at it. And because I've got glue on the back of my dimensionals, it gives me the opportunity to kind of move this around if I need to. Move that around too much. We're getting there. All right, then I'm gonna fix my bow again because I want it to go kind of sideways. And the last time, or on the last card, I put my bling, my little embellishments along the top here. But because of how I spaced things down here, I've got a lot of room down here that I really want to take advantage of. So I'm going to bring my embellishments out, and these are the muted palette dots, and I'm going to use the yellow muted palette dots, and we're going to take one here, if I can get it off of there, and I'm going to center it right here. And then I'm going to take two of the smaller ones and I'm going to put it right about there, but at the end of the rainbow, or the yellow rainbow. Okay, so I'm hoping I got those centered the way that I want them. Looks pretty good to me. So that's how I've chosen to add my embellishments to this card. And how fun was that card? So pretty. All right. Let's go into card number 2, and I'm going to bring this one out, and let's talk about what we've got for this card. We've got a cloud cover card base. I have Secret Sea for my layer. I've got 2 pieces of designer series paper that we are going to put together, and I'm going to do this, and then I've got another piece of cloud cover that I can go across the side here with as I'm laying this out. And then I've taken this, and this is from Textured Notes. I've gone ahead and cut that, and we are going to do our stamping on this. So let me move this off to the side, and I'm going to bring my mat back out, and we're going to stamp a couple things. First thing, we've got some sunshine. And I'm going to do the sunshine in the Cajun Craze. So it'll be kind of like a setting sun. But I picked Cajun Craze because it goes along with my designer series paper. All right, so let's go ahead and get this open. And I'm gonna put the sun to the top of the piece of cardstock. So let's go ahead and get this. And I want it to be fairly straight, so I'm just gonna eye it. So we're gonna see if we can get this fairly straight by just eyeing it. And I may have to, I'm gonna pull it down just a little bit because I wanna be able to see. Let's see, probably right about here. I'm guessing, just guessing. Not terrible. All right, let's take this off, and it will lighten as we go along. So I'm gonna take that off, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the rays, and let me see, I think I'm gonna pull in a piece of scrap paper just to put on the back side in case my rays go off the cardstock. So let's start with this one, and I'm going to line this up here, and we'll go this way. Okay, and it does go off just a little bit, but I've got it protected. And then we'll stamp it again, and we're gonna line it up right next to it, right about here. Okay, so now we've got our rays on our label. Did I get some ink on there? I did. All right, guys, not quite sure. It may have come from my block. I might have gotten the ink on the block, but I'm gonna bring out my mono sand eraser, and we're gonna try to minimize that because I really don't want that showing. Mono sand eraser basically erases, if you will, it sands the cardstock down. So we're gonna try to minimize this as best we can. You want to be patient. It's gonna take several times, and the sooner you can do it, the better. The more the ink soaks into the cardstock, the harder it is to get that ink out. And as I'm doing this, I'm seeing some of it come up. It's not as bad, but I can still see it. And I think you guys can probably still see it as well. There's just that little splotch of ink. Darn it. All right, that's okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and stamp our sending good vibes. So we've got sending good vibes. I'm gonna do that in the Secret C. And we're just gonna see where this lands, because maybe I'm gonna get lucky and sending good vibes will cover that up. Or not, but we'll see. All right, so I'm gonna bring this down, and I'm not gonna purposely center this so that we get rid of that, but I'm gonna try to get it. Maybe if I come down just a little bit. If I come down just a little bit, I think we can do it. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do. So we did good. You barely, barely, barely can see it. It's right, hiding right under that G. So here's what we're gonna do. Now that we've got the stamping done, let me clean off this ink really quickly. Really, when you're inking things up, you wanna go straight up and straight down. I need to practice what I preach because every once in a while I get a tilt to my inking, and then I get it on my block, and then it just tends to cause problems. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our linen thread, and I'm gonna do basically the same thing that I did with the previous card, and we're gonna wrap it around. Only because I've got a lot more space this time around, we're gonna have some fun, and we're gonna wrap it around 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3 times. And that way it'll kind of take up a little bit of this room. And I'm kind of gonna do what I did before, but let me get this first. Did I leave enough to tie a bow? Not really. I'd rather have a little bit more room than not enough room. All right, so let's do this again. What I'm looking at is I wanna make sure that what I have hanging over the side is enough that it's gonna allow me to tie a bow. So again, around 1, around 2, around 3, and I'll adjust this here in just a second, but I've got that. So now what I can do is I can trim this off Oops. So we got that trimmed off. And then I'm gonna get this adjusted where I want it to be. So I'm gonna play around with it just a little bit. And I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get this tied. I'm thinking out loud, guys, because I want to be able to move this, but I want it to stay taut as well. All right, let's go ahead and get let's get our glue dot down so that I can get this tied, and then I can mess with it a little bit more. So here's my glue dots. I'll take this and I'm gonna put my little bow right about here. So we've got that down. So let's go ahead and get this tied. And then I can adjust. All right, so we're gonna tight, taut. Okay, now it's pushed. Now what you can do when you get ready to move things, just bend it in half so that it's got a little bit of give, and then we can do it just like that. I'm gonna get this ink off of me. Do you guys see I have ink on my finger? Can you see that? I don't know what I did, but I got ink on my finger, so I'm gonna get that off because I definitely don't wanna get that on the card. I think I got it. I ink all day, every day, and I still get ink all over me. It's crazy. All right, so now let's go ahead and tie this bow. And then we'll start to build the rest of the card. But what I did, and I kind of did the same thing on the previous card, I just want to take advantage of the space that I've got. And since I decided to move my sending good vibes down a little bit, which left my space between my sun bigger, I decided to fill that space with some additional twine. So instead of doing 2 loops, I did 3 loops. All right, so let's bring this back in now. Take our cloud cover, and let's go ahead and get this burnished. And then we're gonna take our Secret C, and we're gonna build our layers on that. So let's go ahead and get this down. And the thing you'll notice too, this was the same paper. I just cut it in half, and I'm gonna use the back side. All right, so let's go ahead and get this down, and we'll layer it right here. Make sure I got it scooched right. Okay, and then we'll take this one, and now I have to decide, do I want that green up there? Probably not. I think I'll put the pink up there. All right, so let's go ahead and get this down. And we'll go ahead and get this lined up, and it can be lined up. We are going to cover that seam with some more cloud cover. So we'll go ahead and get our cloud cover out, and this cloud cover is going to go edge to edge. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get that edge to edge, looking on each side. And now what we can do is we can adhere it to our card base. This. There we go. Now we'll take our label, if you will, and we're going to take our dimensionals, and we will put dimensionals on the back. And since this is fairly long, I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one here. All right. Let's go ahead and get these backings off. Not yet, they're coming off. Okay, double checking. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the back, just to give me some flexibility. This is optional, you don't have to do this, but It helps me. And then what I want to do is I want to center this. Oop. Pretty much top to bottom, side to side. Actually, the way I'm going to do it is definitely side to side, but I want my 3 layers of linen thread to go through that. Oh, you know what? I didn't. Okay. Anyway, we'll do it. I was supposed to cover up the seam, and I thought I had, and I didn't. Anyway, so we're going to bring it down. You really can't tell, but that linen, that blue strip was supposed to cover the seam. And it didn't, but you know, it's kind of interesting how I make my choices for whatever reason. All right, so let's go ahead and get that down. So we've got that. Now let's go ahead and bring in our bling, our little dots, our palette dots, and we're going to put our palette dots right up here. I'm using the pink that go with that actual strip, and then we'll take this one and we will put it down over here. So there you go. The same card, just a little bit different. I adjusted it as I needed to, dropped this down, didn't cover the seam, but still a cute card. Hi, Wanda. I'm so glad you were able to join. And I'm going to leave the length on my linen thread as well. All right, let's move into card number 3. All right, Secret C. This is by far becoming one of my favorite new in colors, Secret C. All right, then we've got, I actually have, let me see, I'm going to check something out here. I actually have some cardstock for us to be able to stamp on, but let me show you the other stuff. So we've got some designer series paper. We have some more designer series paper. And then I've got 2 leaves. So normally what you would do is you would use your cardstock to stamp your leaves. I stamped the leaves in Secret C and I stamped them in Cloud Cover. Now the reason that I'm not doing that for you today is because we don't have a die in this set for these leaves. So I had to fussy cut these leaves. And I just wanted to spare you the time that it took me to fussy cut. So I went ahead and did the fussy cutting ahead of time. All right, so let's go ahead and fold this. And then we're gonna take this piece of designer series paper and we're gonna put it to the outer edge. We're gonna start there. We are gonna do some stamping. We've got our sentiment that we need to stamp, but let's go ahead and get this built first. So we've got this, and I'm going to get this down and scooch it if I need to. All right, now we've got this piece of designer series paper. I want to follow the edge of the paper and get rid of the white. I don't want that white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to trim that off. And obviously I'm going to go in as close to that blue, that Secret C, as I can, because I don't want a white edge showing when I put this down. That's why I'm cutting it away. So let's go ahead and get this trimmed up. This is an easy fussy cut. That's why I saved it for you. Hey, Jan, so good to see you. Sunny Oregon. So glad you could join us. All right, let's see. I'm gonna trim off that little bit of white that I'm seeing. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna layer this down. So let's go ahead and get this all down and line it up with the other designer series paper, and it will look like it's one cohesive piece. But we've got that fun design, right? Okay, there we go. Okay, now we can start building this card. So before we do, let's go ahead and get our sentiment done. So I'm gonna bring back in my pad, and I've got the thanks. I thought I had the thanks already out. I thought I did. I thought I did. Let me look. Is it still in here? And it is still in here. So I'm going to swap with the hello. And I'm going to put the things down. If I can get it. And then pick it up with my block. And then again, we're going to be utilizing Secret C. So let me find it. It's right here. And let's go ahead and get that stamped. This is just a piece of scrap. So what I want to do is I'm looking for my right angle corner. I'm going to cut this out. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down. Hopefully I got it fairly straight. Good deal. Okay, and let's go ahead and clean this stamp off so I don't get any more ink on me. And then we'll go ahead and I'm going to trim this up this way. I'm just doing it with my snips. You guys can put it into your trimmer if you want to. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to angle that up. And because that's so close, I'm going to angle this. I'm not angling it, I'm just going to do it straight, but I'm going to try to even it up just a little bit. So we'll get rid of this. I do too, Jan. Did you hear me say that it's very quickly becoming one of my very favorite new ink colors? I love it. All right. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my Stampin' Seal and I'm just going to put a little bit behind here because what I'm going to do is I really did replace this too because it wasn't working before. I'm putting a little bit behind here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my twine, and I actually had some left over from a ribbon that I cut previously. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do some wrapping here, and I'm going to stick it behind here. There's no method to my madness. I just want a little bit of twine behind my sentiment. So we've got that. Now what I can do is I can take my leaves and put them down. So I'm just going to put a few little dollops of glue, not dollops, little pin drops of glue. Dollop would be too much. Behind here. There we go. And we'll go ahead and put this one down, and I'm going to put it right about here, I think. I'm going to do the same thing. This was cloud cover. Now we're going to do the same thing to our Secret C leaves. And again, you can see how little glue I'm using. You do not need a lot of glue. All right, and then we're going to basically probably layer this probably about right here. No method to my madness, it just looks good there. Now I will take my sentiment and I'm going to put some dimensionals behind it. So I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one over here, and I'm going to take my sentiment. I'll take those off and I'm going to place that down. So we'll go ahead and get this added here. Make sure it's straight. It's up just a little bit. There we go. I think so. Work on my little thread that I've got peeking through. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and we'll bring back in our pastel dots again. And this time I'm going to use a couple. We'll use cloud cover. So I'm going to bring, I think we'll do here and a little one down here. And then I'm going to take the yellow and we'll put one here and bring one up here. Okay. And there we go. Now we have card number 3 done. How fun are these? Okay, let me bring these in so you guys can see them again. So this was card number 3. Let me pull that out. So we've got card number 3. I want you to see, I'm going to take me down because I'll be back here in just a second anyway. There we go. So card number 3. And then card number 2, sending good vibes. Went a little rogue with that one. Not bad, but did go a little rogue with that one. And then we've got card number 1 that we created from all of the pieces that were die cut. But isn't that pretty? This is a fun set. It really is. And when you look at it initially, there's not a whole lot to it, right? But look what you're able to do with it when you combine it with the designer series paper, which is the boho vibes paper that I was sharing with you earlier. And then of course you've got these amazing dies that are in here. And the dies really give you the opportunity to create some of these fun things as well. So let me come back to see you guys. There we go. And thank you for joining. Also, thank you for saying hello. I love it when you guys join me and we can chit chat as we are crafting. And don't forget that those of you that I called out your names earlier, I think I got you covered up, but Mary Augustin and Marilyn Brown Pearson, you need to contact me at aprildaviscreations@gmail.com. I've got prizes for you, and then I also have one for, oh my goodness, I put it off to the side, now I can't find it. Gloria Meek 6774. So if you guys would reach out to me so that I can send your prizes to you as a special thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting on my videos. Sandra, thank you. They are fun cards for sure. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye, everyone.